Let's talk about insulation. Let's talk about the number one thing that people love, which is free stuff.
I was actually raised by my father, who was disabled. There wasn't a lot of money growing up. I just kind of like made my own way through college, working with my uncle, who also owned an insulation company. So that's kind of like where I got started.
When we advertise properties in the MLS as realtors in the statewide multiple listing service that have been insulated or assessed by Rise Energy, we'll write that right in the advertisement.
If you go around with a white glove and swipe some countertops, you're going to see a little dust, and I just get them ready for that. You got to crack an egg to make an omelet. If I have a guy like you that needs to get this done, I make exceptions for customers. Some customers aren't adamant about like, oh, we need this done right today. And other people have a tight time frame where if it goes another month, it's going to cost you another month of paying that mortgage.
Well, yeah. Welcome to the Real Vision Show, where the game of real estate is all that we know. Step inside the booth, conversations that inspire. We talk keys, deeds, and that property empire. From first-time buyers to investors with a plan. Real talk, real lessons from the real estate race. Delighting out.
All right, what's up, everybody here? It's Matt Patty here at the Real Vision Studios Podcast Center. Where else do you know where you can work for a company that has great partners, great splits, revenue share, profit share plans? Speaking of partners, we're sitting today with one of our partners, Doug Stracaluzi from NetZero Insulation. Doug got started in the insulation game at an early age. He's a young man who's an entrepreneur, very impressive guy. Grew up in the Silver Lake section of Providence, right?
Elmhurst area.
Elmhurst area. Okay, so grew up in Providence, always been his ear to the ground, running in this insulation business, and then he eventually looked around and said, why am I not in business for myself, doing it for myself? Let's talk about insulation. Let's talk about the number one thing that people love, which is free stuff. If it's free, it's for me. Tell me a little bit more about how you can get any and every client who owns investment property who's listening to this free insulation at their property.
So we take advantage of all the incentives available from Rhode Island Energy. And right now, if you're a landlord and the electrical accounts are in your tenant's name, then every unit that you have, we get $10,000 to insulate that. So it'll never like go over that. So we're targeting landlords because it's free for them to get it done.
So why should someone utilize you and your company for this program?
So we handle the process from start to beginning. So if you called me and you needed some of your rental properties insulated, I schedule the assessment for you. I follow up with the administrator of the program, make sure everything's running smoothly, make sure your contract gets assigned to me so we can handle your insulation install because, I treat my clients the best.
I agree with that. For people who don't know this, Doug has already done about $25,000 or $30,000 worth of insulation on my properties. My bill has been zero. We probably are going to spend double or triple that upcoming in the future. He's hustled on jobs. Remember in that job in Cumberland, we had an aggressive timeline because it was a flip house and it needed to go on the market. Actually went into contract today, partially thanks to the service that you guys provided. But he was able to hustle, reschedule, get us on the docket ahead of the game, whereas a lot of times you'll be backed up 2-3 months out a lot of the time, right?
Yeah, currently it's October and we're booking into like mid-December right now. But like if I have a guy like you that, needs to get this done, I make exceptions for customers. Some customers aren't adamant about like, oh, we need this done right today. And other people have a tight time frame where, if it goes another month, it's going to cost you another month of paying that mortgage. So we try to help people out and move people up when we can.
So you used to work for Rhode Island Energy, right?
Yes.
And so that's where you learned a lot about how the program works, which is probably another incentive for you, right?
Yeah, I learned the ins and outs of the program, and I worked as a residential inspector, checking all the work of the contractors that work for the program. At the time, there was probably like 30 contractors. Now there's more like 40. So I got to see everyone's insulation company, how they work, their processes as I was inspecting the jobs. And then eventually I was just like, COVID had hit and we all got laid off. And then I just decided like, I want to take control of my own destiny and be able to, not have someone tell me that, when you're not coming back to work. So ended up going into business for myself and it's been very good. We hit the ground running.
How old are you now, and how old were you when you opened up your shop?
I'm 32 right now. I started at 27.
So 27 years old, you started your own business. And did you come from a family of entrepreneurs or any kind of background with this? Or
No, I was actually raised by my father, who was disabled, and we really, there wasn't a lot of money growing up because he was on disability and stuff. So I just kind of like made my own way, worked my way through college, working with my uncle, who also owned an insulation company. So that's kind of like where I got started in the business.
So your uncle, I met him on the job in Oakland Beach, actually.
Yeah.
And so you guys still work together. So it's a family business.
Yeah, I'm glad that we got him. We were able to get him to work with us, and we have a good relationship now, and everything's going smooth. So that was my introduction to insulation, was working for his business. And he took it really easy on me when I was younger, because the first day, I remember the first day going to work, and my aunt had told me that, call your uncle. He works for National Grid. And I was thinking in my mind, like, I'm going to be working on power lines,
Right.
and stuff like that. But I meet up with my uncle Doug. He takes me to the job, and he takes me to this like 1800s house, and he's like, "Oh, we're going in this crawl space right here. Go in there and remove all the insulation out of it."
Yeah.
And I'm like looking at the crawl space. I'm like, "Wait a minute. There's spiders in there. You want me to go in there?
Right.
I can't go in there. There's spiders." Like, so he took it really easy on me, but now crawl spaces, they got to get done,
So how old were you when you started working with your uncle, Uncle Doug?
I think I was probably like 18 years old.
So you started insulation business 18, working for your uncle, throwing you down the hole in the crawl space.
Yeah.
Which by the way, I'm better you than me. You were in college at the time, right?
Worked my way through college. Yep.
Gotcha.
I graduated from URI
Congratulations for that.
2018.
So you graduated 2018 from college at the University of Rhode Island. Then you went to work for Rhode Island Energy, where you basically had what people think they want, right? Like the steady job, the benefits, whatever. COVID hits, you get laid off. You say, I'm just going to do this for myself. And this was around 2020.
Yes, we went into actually like completing jobs in 2021. April of 2021, we finished our first job.
And how did you do that first year? And how does that compare with what you're on pace to do this year in 2025?
So I was blessed to have this program, because a lot of our clients, like, it's easy to get jobs because there's not like a paywall there.
Right.
Some of the work is free, so we're bringing in free work. And so my first year, we did well, and we got like half a year in, from April to January, and we did good. And ever since then, it's just been growing every year. And I think I got it maxed out now, but I don't want to put more trucks on before. I like to keep the quality really good,
Right.
and the customers happy. And I like being able to go and talk to all of my clients. So I'm just kind of like waiting to grow until we have like a solid team members who are going to have the same values that I have.
So you're at that cross section where you're basically maxed out. I mean, you told me that you're on jobs like 6 days a week at this point, right?
Yes. Yep. We're doing Monday through Saturday.
Monday
most weeks.
And that's basically like a full like 8, 9, 10-hour day of insulation work. Like I know even just to get this set up, it was like we had to do it. We had to set you up like a good solid like month in advance for this show, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And so do you have any idea like percentage, like rough idea, like percentage like growth that your company's had over the past 3 years?
I don't really know the percentage, but we've like maybe my first 6 months from 2021, like, I don't want to talk about numbers directly, but we did probably like doubled that. And so,
Okay.
and we're on pace to like do the same thing every year now that I have it dialed in, because the first 3 years of business, like, we weren't working Monday through Friday. Maybe we were working Monday through Thursday, have one day off. But now that we got our name out there, it's like we're working 5 days a week and sometimes on Saturdays. So we're stacking up that schedule to get the most growth that we can out of the year.
So doubling your business year after year, and you're at a point right now, you're at that classic crossroads where you're like, we're going to have to grow, you're going to have to hire, you're going to have to like figure out how to find another you, right? At some point. Yeah. But the commitment is to maintaining the existing quality because your company's doing fantastic. Is that a pretty good summary of it?
Yeah, I'd say, and I just try to do a real good job so that the word of mouth in the state is everything, and people will know who you are. if you're out just hacking stuff and doing things the wrong way. So I take it really serious. And even when you have eyes on things, like, sometimes you need to tweak things. So I like just being there to make sure. I'm very like OCD. It needs to be perfect.
So sometimes I know with blown-in insulation, because that's what we're mainly talking about today, is that blown-in insulation. People have concerns about damage to the walls afterwards, right? Or dust or things like that. Tell me some of the ways that you avoid that concern, particularly houses with vinyl siding.
So a house with vinyl siding, like we should be able to just remove the course of vinyl, drill the holes, and fill it. There shouldn't really be any dust or anything coming into the house. If you have like a house that has like holes in the walls and stuff like that, then there's going to be some cellulose that comes through the wall if we don't catch it. But typically we do a whole walkthrough and make sure that there's no entrance points for the cellulose to gain entry into the house.
Right.
And it's really good. But in your case at Cray Street, you had vinyl over asbestos. So we had to go in from the inside. And what I tell people when we have to do like an interior drill and plug is like, we're going to do the best we can cleaning. But after that stuff gets airborne in 24 hours, you're going to have a little bit of dust. So if you go around with a white glove and swipe some countertops, you're going to see a little dust. And I just get them ready for that.
Right.
Like you got to crack an egg to make an omelet,
And on Cray Street, we actually came up with a great solution for what to do. I wish we had a visual here. We could put it up on the board, but even if you put holes in the paneling, basically, there's a way to make that look actually, when you go see that, it looks even better than it looked before. Like it actually looks like a decorative thing that was there with the old house, like we designed into the wall. Basically, we put like a rosette over the little holes where the insulation came. And you worked really well with my contractor, Marcos, from Fixer and Builder LLC, because he was worried that the holes were going to be all kind of staggered in different places and stuff like that. But you were able to put them on like one neat line. So it really was not that intrusive. And that was the worst case scenario because you had to drill into existing walls because of that asbestos underneath the vinyl. What about like shingles? How does that work with a shingle on the outside, like a wood shingle?
Shingle is another one that like pretty much you won't even tell that we were there when we're done. We score it at a 45-degree angle, pop it off, drill the hole, then reapply the shingle and finish nail it. And most of the time, you won't even tell that we took off the shingle. If it's like old paint, sometimes there will be like a little chipping, but usually you can't even tell we were there. So the only thing that really is tough is like aluminum siding, because it just gets destroyed when you take it off.
Right.
Or the asbestos shingles will just, they tend to crack. So if we get like aluminum or asbestos, we'll tend to want to go on the inside.
But other than that, so for the most part, the majority of siding that you're going to see in New England is going to be either vinyl or wood shingles. Wood clapboard.
Yep, we take off the wooden clapboard,
So
put it right back on, same process.
So basically, it's from the outside in, making very little to no mess on the inside of the property. You're getting free insulation if you're a landlord. And how does it work if you're a homeowner?
So if you're a homeowner and you own, you're just not renting it, you're an owner-occupier. If you have gas heat, you get 75% off.
Okay.
If you have oil heat or propane heat, you get 50% off. If you heat your house with electricity, then you actually get free insulation as well.
All right.
So there's something for everyone here. There's in the different various incentives, but the people that make out the best are the gas and the electricity customers right now.
And roughly speaking, what kind of savings can people expect when they actually insulate their homes?
I'd say like around 20%.
So 20% savings. So if your average electric bill is $200 a month, you're going to save about $40 a month. If it's $300, you're going to save about $60 a month. That's going to add up pretty quickly, especially if you're talking from whether you're the homeowner or the landlord. If you're the landlord, when you go to increase your rent at the end of the year and the tenants say, well, what did you do for my property? You're going to say, well, I'm now saving you 20% on your utility bills, and it makes it a little bit more palatable to increase the rent. If you're a homeowner, you have to pay those bills. And the key thing is you're not paying for the majority of the install unless you're a homeowner with oil heat, I guess, right?
Yeah.
So you're getting it either for free or almost for free, when we advertise properties in the MLS as realtors in the statewide multiple listing service that have been insulated or assessed by Rise Energy, we'll write that right in the advertisement. Like it's like right there, like boom, energy assessed, insulated, green home. People like that. And in this case, you know, almost anything you do, I mean, I think this is going to be one of the biggest return on investments that you can make, because a lot of times your investment is $0, right?
Yep.
So it's if it's a $0 investment and you make another 15 or 20,000 when you sell your property, or if you make your tenants happier, or if you any number of things that really occur with regards to making your home more efficient, if you just actually give a shit about the environment, right? Like there's a lot of reasons why this is one of the absolute best things that you can do. And I just, you know, I'm a huge advocate for what you're doing. Not only that, but as you mentioned, it's completely inobtrusive in the majority of circumstances, right? You're going in from the outside in, making very, very little dust. What are some of the things, I know you touched on a little bit of it, but just to kind of hit on it again, what are some of the things that you really feel like separate you from some of the competition in terms of what makes your company, NetZero, the one-stop shop, the guy to call for all of this?
So when you call my company, you get me. Like I'm on the phone. That's something to be said, because a lot of companies have, you know, people that are like, I'm an owner operator, you know, small family run business.
Right.
You call, you get me. We're dealing through all the issues. We're taking care of what we have to take care of. When, you know, if I need to follow up with the administrators of the program, I follow up with them, see what's going on. One thing that I did want to add was, when we send out the administrator of the program to give you an energy assessment, you get that breakdown, and it gives you in like, what is, if you have to pay X amount of dollars, this is your ROI.
Right.
So you could see what the ROI is, even if, let's say you're a gas customer and you have, you know, you're getting 75% off on this insulation job. You could see that, you know, the return on investment of spending this money, you'll make it back in 2 years. Typically people that are smart will like go for it, because they know, hey, if I'm staying here, you know, if I plan to stay here for 5 years and I spend this money now, I'm going to have made that investment back.
Right.
But for the free stuff, it's like an instant savings.
It's instant win.
So even if I understand that some landlords aren't paying the utility bills, but your tenants are, you know, so it's helping them out right away.
Your tenants are paying. Why wouldn't you want to help your tenants for free if you could, for filling out a little bit of paperwork and then letting you run the ball and letting you make sure the job gets scheduled? They're not chasing down some government agency. You're doing that, right? Secondly, it's going to help you when it comes to renewal season and rent increase season, right? Normally speaking, if you're a landlord, every year around renewal, you want to make an adjustment to the rent up for inflation at some level. It makes it a lot easier when you're making improvements into the property. Number three, it's going to improve your resale value. So there's really no reason for a landlord not to call Doug. If you are a real estate agent and you're watching this show and you say, what's one reason why I could call my client today beyond just telling them I still exist and I hope they do more business with me in the future? It would be to say, how would you like to get free insulation? You might have heard of this, but I'm going to give you a one-stop shop. You mentioned to me that even a lot of times on newer houses, like a house built in 2005, 2010, somebody might think they're good on insulation, but you've seen that a little bit differently with some properties, right?
So typically, like, people that build houses don't really like air seal the attics, and this is air sealing makes the insulation like 30% more effective.
Okay.
So my house, for example, was built in 2019. When we moved in, I had the program come out. They assessed the house, and you know, we needed a lot of stuff. We needed ventilation chutes, air sealing, insulated hoses, just a bunch of odds and ends.
Right.
But it does add value, because it's now that my house is air sealed, I noticed that I'm saving right away, because it makes the insulation 30% more effective when it's air sealed. So and you could have a house that's built like right now and it's not going to be air sealed. So there's no like, just because your house is brand new doesn't mean that you shouldn't get the assessment. You should get it, because you'll see that there are things that you do need.
And not to mention the weather stripping on doors, little, you know, caulking gaps and things like that. Like you had a full report, picture, evidence, everything that was done. they're not the most beautiful pictures. They're more like pictures of insulation, but that's
Yeah.
what you want to see when you well, if you paid for it, you'd want to see it. But the fact that you can really pass that on, and when you sell that property, you're going to pass that on to the buyer. You're going to advertise it. You're going to tell them this place is Rise Energy assessed and insulated, and it's more efficient. It's bordering on like being like a green home at that point. Where do you see your company going in the future, next like 3 to 5 years? Where do you want to be, and how can we help you get there?
Well, I'm hoping to, by the end of this year, get into the spray foam side of the business, which will put me in the retail market.
Okay.
Because right now we just focus on I am in the retail market, but I focus on doing the program work because it keeps us so busy. But when we get the spray foam machine, we'll be targeting, like spray foam leads and things like that. And then eventually, like down the line, I would like to start building like net zero homes where you can have a house that produces enough energy by itself without taking anything off the grid. And that's the kind of way that I want to go with it. That's why I named my company NetZero
Very
Insulation
cool.
Technologies.
So-
I think it's going to be a big term in the future.
Right.
Maybe not a lot of people know about it now, but in the future, I think it will be.
So get into all new construction, like foundation to roof line, building and developing.
Yep.
That's a great vision, man. We can definitely help you get there.
And I just love the insulation is what I love, though. Like, I love when the old lady that I'm insulating is like, oh, we've been so cold for so long. And then we insulate their house. And she says, I noticed a difference. Sometimes they'll tell me I noticed a difference before I leave.
Right.
And it's just everyone, it makes people happy to get work done to their house,
Get work done.
And it's cheap money, to have it done. And you're saving on the energy bill and reducing your carbon footprint and whatnot.
How can people get in touch with you? Where can they find you on the web? Where could they, where do they call, et cetera, et cetera?
So we're on Instagram, Facebook. I have a website, my phone number, Google my company, NetZero Insulation Technologies. When you press that button, you're going to be calling my cell phone.
That's always the best way. Just hit Google and you're going to see it. So Google NetZero Insulation. If you are a real estate agent, you should be looking to link up with Doug. And then you should be looking to get on the phone and call your clients and tell them, hey, look, how would you like to get free insulation? I got the guy who's going to do it soup to nuts, going to save your tenants money, who's going to make your property more valuable, who's going to handle every aspect of it. Then when they hang up the phone, they'll say, I'm glad I took a call from my realtor today. One of the things realtors get told to do is to call all their past clients. But sometimes it feels self-serving when you call them up and you're like, hey, it's me, it's Matt. You haven't called me to sell a house for you in a little while, and I was hoping you would call me to sell a house. How would you like to call them up and say, hey, look, I can get you free insulation on your property. Let me link you up with the guy who can do that. Then you don't have to ask them to sell a house because they're going to start calling you and being, oh, yeah, by the way, I have this new construction that I just started putting up. Do you want to come out and take a look at it? So that's really where I think the value for real estate agents is. And if you are a real estate agent, Doug's the man. He's great to deal with. We highly recommend him. He's one of the partners here at our office at Real Vision Properties. One of the other benefits to Real Vision Properties in our network is that we are able to bring in vendors like this who are able to support our agents better and create value for our agents as well as our clients. So Doug, without further ado, thank you very much for coming on the show today. We're going to keep referring you. Let's grow together, brother, and appreciate you.
Thank you. Appreciate you guys having me on.